Your hand, one of our board directors will come over to you with the microphone so you can speak into that. If you have any concerns about being on TV, I don't think there's a problem, but it is being recorded for posterity, and this is the major conversation that we're having before the election. We're the only district that have decided to inform our members on what's happening in the election. So I think we're about ready to start. So I'll start. Good evening. My name is Larry Griffin, and I'm the chair of Brampton. Welcome to Brampton CARP's annual meeting. We extend warm welcome to all the members who have joined us today and those who have joined us on the Zoom platform. This meeting is being recorded and will be available to all CARP members across Canada. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Brampton Retirement Residence, Lori Brown, she offers her words of welcome to everyone attending tonight's meeting. Brampton CARP appreciates the monthly hospitality of Brampton Regional or Residential Retirement Center. Tonight, we're honored to have with us Rudy, our national president. I believe Anthony Quinn is here as well as our chief operating officer, and Janine Antevol, our coordinator or administrator of the national office, joining us tonight. We will also welcome candidates from Brampton's federal ridings who will be introducing themselves at the end of the meeting or to meet our members and the media who are with us tonight. Thank you for giving us your time tonight and your attendance. If you would please stand, we'll start with the O Canada.
We stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Elbows up. Thank you. Please be seated. Brampton CARP would like to acknowledge our deep respect for our Indigenous communities in Canada. We'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation, and we thank them for their stewardship of this land. We also acknowledge the contributions and enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, the Inuit people of Ontario and Canada. Tonight we're gathered 11 days before the federal election to offer you significant concerns and issues that face all our members and our seniors community across Canada. The key message of CARP is to advocate on behalf of retired persons across Canada, to offer a presentation of, our national president will offer presentations on 5 significant issues that our politics need to know and act upon. The Brampton Chair, Board of Directors, who have served the community well on your behalf, I'd like to introduce you to our board. First, our past chair, Tracy Penning. If you would stand, Tracy, appreciate it. Our vice chair, Anthony Scanga. Our secretary, Carl Marshall. The secretary, Pobet Takati. And most important, our community and technical expert, Dieter Christensen. We also have members at large. Pam Magel is with us. Richard Kowalski. Ella Kola. I was just checking to see if we had any past chairs here. I don't see Terry Miller with us tonight, but he is definitely our past retired chair. It is now my honor to introduce to you the National President of CARP, Rudy Buttignol. Rudy, as a young boy, immigrated to Canada with his family from Italy. His father worked diligently for the Canadian National Railway Company, laying tracks into northern Alberta. Rudy was raised and educated in Toronto. He attended York University, Faculty of Fine Arts, where he studied film. Rudy's career is more than 4 decades. At the beginning of his career, he worked as an independent producer, director, writer, and editor of documentaries and children's programs. Later, commissioned editor, TV programmer, broadcast executive, and has been called a documentary guru. Rudy is acknowledged for many of his roles developing Canadian cultural policy related to documentary film funding and broadcast. In 1993, he began working as a public broadcaster when he joined TVO Ontario as a commissioner, editor, and created head of Independence Production. In 2006, he was TVO's creative head. Over the years, Rudy has had many in 2017, he was the Model York Award. The Tender V Award, which reflects York University model, the way must be tried. In 2023, Rudy was appointed as national president and as voted on behalf of seniors. Tonight, Rudy is here to speak on our behalf. Welcome, Rudy.
Thank you very much. All right. You read the long version. I gave him the short version. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again as the president of CARP. It's been a real privilege to be here. First of all, I want to thank the Brampton chapter for organizing the event this evening. I also want to thank the Brampton chapter for representing the 250,000 members of the Canadian Association of Retired Persons from coast to coast. It's chapters like Brampton that really are the backbone of our association. It's the 23 chapters from St. John's, Newfoundland to Victoria, Vancouver Island that really give us the gravitas, the weight to actually influence public policy to the benefit of senior citizens. It's citizens like you getting together, being civically engaged, and wanting to make a better life, a dignified life for seniors. So I want to thank all of you because we have a common mission, and that's to end ageism. in public policy, in healthcare, and more generally at the culture at large. And it begins with individuals making a decision to be part of an association to affect change. Now, I just want to say, there's a great new spirit of nationalism, I understand, that I'm starting to read that people are really fans of Canada once again. Well, I came to Canada like many other people as an immigrant with my mom to follow my dad. I became a naturalized Canadian many years ago when I turned 25. There was never a moment when I wasn't proud to be Canadian. We chose this country because it's a special country that welcomes people like me. And so there was never a time that I wasn't proud to be a Canadian. And the minute I got my Canadian citizenship, there isn't one election that I've ever missed. We thought it was part of our civic duty to vote for our representative. It's part of our civic duty to gather today, to hear different points of view, to have healthy arguments amongst ourselves, and to decide democratically who will represent us in government. So my thanks to you as members of CARP and as observers, and my thanks to the chapter itself. We certainly are living in interesting times, aren't we? As seniors, we've lived through a lot of change, some scarier than the other. We've lived through the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis. We've lived through the moon landing and the invention of the internet and the World Wide Web. We've lived through the fall of the Soviet Union and the rise of China as an economic superpower. Huge events that have altered the course of life on Earth. We've also lived at a time where the world's population outside of Africa is aging everywhere, a global phenomenon. And now we face an election, one that seemed somewhat routine a few months ago. You know, you tire of this guy, try that guy. And, but it turns out to be an election that's shaping up to be one for the ages. Who could ever imagine months ago what the ballot question would be in this election? I was mindful tonight thinking about the ballot question, what altered things. And there was a British Prime Minister, Harold Macmillan, and he had assumed office as the Prime Minister unexpectedly, the last minute, because the previous Prime Minister was part of the Suez Canal crisis. It was a debacle. And all of a sudden, you know, in change in world events, Macmillan became the Prime Minister of England. And he was asked what was most likely to throw government off course. And he's famously quoted as saying, "Events, my dear boy, events." And what we've faced today with the election of Donald Trump is events that have somehow altered our course significantly here, at least the course of political life and economic life to follow. So we're still living with the fallout of the global pandemic. There are unforeseen consequences that are still playing out that we have no idea what's going to happen. We have got a major war in Europe. And to face it all, unexpectedly, we have what I think is a betrayal of our closest neighbor and part of our family, the Donald Trump government, that all of a sudden have turned on us like they have turned on all their allies with the threat of annexation and the threat of a trade war. But as you can see from everyone proudly singing, "Oh, Canada will never be annexed by anyone." I say all this because no matter who forms government in the next few weeks, we know that we're in for tough economic times. A government's going to inherit an absolutely huge deficits in the budget. They're going to inherit a massive debt of $1.5 trillion. You know that the federal government now pays as much money on the interest of the national debt than it sends to health transfers to the province. And that's going to curtail any government's ability to support programs or introduce new programs. What does it mean for Canada's growing seniors population? And we are a growing population. 2025, the youngest baby boomer just turned 60. And they're joining the ranks of other seniors, where we're 10 to 12 million strong. That's how big of an issue it's become. We know that all parties are promising the same thing. Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. And so for me, the question isn't what are you promising? It's like, of all the promises you made, how are you going to pay for it? What's going to happen? Are we going to have higher taxes? Are you going to increase the deficit and the debt? Or are you going to cut or claw back old age security payments? That's the question. From CARP's point of view, our concern is that seniors have a target on their back under the concept of generational fairness. And that is, will the government in power come after old age entitlements, seniors entitlements like old age security, or will they come for people's home equity, tax on home equity? It seemed like an academic debate just a short period of time ago, but the generations setting against each other has been set up for a while. The federal government has funded a think tank in the University of British Columbia called Generation Squeeze. And the proposition of Generation Squeeze is this: the reason that young people are having a tough time with high housing costs is because we baby boomers have hogged all the resources, and that we don't really deserve to live in homes that have gained all this equity. So therefore, it's open a fair game. This came to a head in October. The Bloc Québécois saw a possibility to topple the Trudeau government. And they picked up one of our advocacy issues, and that was, we've been advocating for a 10% increase in old age security payments for 65 to 74-year-olds to match the increase that had been given to 75-year-olds and up. And we've been advocating that there shouldn't be two classes of seniors. You should give that 10% increase to all people eligible for old age security. It was such an issue that the CBC national radio program, The Current, asked if I would participate in a debate with Dr. Paul Kershaw of the University of British Columbia's Generation Squeeze. And we had a debate on the radio about the clawback thresholds, that his position, and again, this was funded by the government in part, his position was that there should be, we should lower the threshold for clawbacks of old age security. Now, we're against any clawback because the feeling is it's the thin edge of the wedge. You start clawing back now, there's no end to it. The idea was that we should balance the government deficit, the government's budget, by taking away benefits from seniors. And besides, it sounds far-fetched, doesn't it? And the other one is proposing a tax on people's home equity. Now, you think that politically that would be a very dangerous thing to do, that anybody in a country of homeowners, 66% of Canadians own their own homes, that would be a dangerous thing. But governments have already encroached on people's homes. They've already come into people's home and told you what you can and you cannot do. If you want to do a short-term rental like Airbnb, they'll tell you what the rules are inside your home. And also several cities across the country have also introduced a empty homes tax. You go to Florida for 6 months, you leave your home empty and you're not renting it out, we're going to tax you. So the idea of a government encroaching on your home equity is not that far off. Now, the premise of taxing more boomers, the boomer generation, and I'm guessing a lot of us here sort of fit into that demographic. The premise, the conventional wisdom is that the boomers have never had it better than any other generation. And you know, many of us do. But there are a lot of people that don't. The official rate, the current government, is that they've reduced the poverty levels across Canada to 6.7%, which is a really remarkable figure. However, in January of this year, the National Institute on Aging introduced a substantive survey that actually found that the poverty level, the poverty rate for most seniors are actually at 14%, more than double the official rate. And what is the poverty line? It's a political decision, what it is. It's $26,000 per year. So could you live really well on $26,000 a year if that's all you were depending on. So that's the boomers never having it better. That's the situation. And the feeling is that in people looking at seniors' benefits, they're just not tuned into senior circumstances. Many of us are living longer and healthier life, but as we get older, we rely more on medications, prescriptions that cost a lot more, mobility aids, home aids. And once you get into any kind of difficulty, you're really in trouble. Besides, for us, living at or near the poverty line is not living with dignity. And our mission at CARP is to help seniors, particularly lower income seniors, they have a right to live and age with dignity. There are many issues that affect the aging population. Many. Every day people propose new ones, but we've decided for this election, we would focus on CARP's top 5 priorities. And they're not necessarily in the order of magnitude or importance, but the first one is investment in home care. We know it's the future for baby boomers. With the size of the aging population, there's no way that governments will be able to deal with the aging population institutionally. They won't be able to build enough homes to do that. And so Canadians will do it the way the Canadians have always done it. Most of us who have the means look after our own. That's the way Canadian society works. There's nobody looking over us and making us follow the rules because we'll get punished. Most of us follow the rules because it's the right thing to do. Most of us will look after our families because if we have the means, and it's the right thing to do. But there are a lot of people who are very vulnerable and don't have that benefit. Most people want to age in their homes if it's possible, for as long as possible. And what does that mean? It means that we as a society need to make a much bigger investment in home care, allowing people to stay in their own homes, if that's their preference, giving them the help they need for as long as possible. That's what most people tell us that they prefer. And that means an investment in people. It means investing in caregivers. It's actual people. It's not technology. Technology will help a little bit, but it's actually people. It's incentivizing our family, our neighbors, people in our community, and personal service workers. A much larger investment in personal service workers, because sometimes just a couple of hours a day, someone coming into the home can make a huge difference in the quality of life. And we know that people want to age in their community if it's possible, because that's what they're familiar with. That's the life they've made. And we know that staying connected is incredibly important, because the real silent killer is loneliness. Loneliness. It's the thing that we all have to guard against. So those solutions are as varied as there are people. We all have different ideas of where we would live and how we would live. And so our philosophy is let 1,000 flowers bloom. Come up with a whole bunch of different situations, but look at it strategically. What is a government going to do to say the population is aging? We don't need a promise here and a promise there. What are you going to do with this huge population that wants to live in dignity and be looked after as they have looked after generations before them? Our Ottawa chapter works on fall prevention. What are the things you can do in the house to make it safe? Because you know a small fall can lead to tragic events. Our Barrie chapter is looking at the Golden Girls model. It's women, and it's mostly women, who would still want to own a home or be together in a home. And so how do you manage to have a group of people being able to share a house? Bottom line is we need a massive and comprehensive strategy for the aging population, investing in home care and community care. The next CARP priority is the end of mandatory withdrawals from our IFs and our RSPs. We think that you, the senior, should decide when you need to draw your savings down. Many of us continue to work because we want to or we have to. We may not need that savings right away as soon as we turn 71. We may need it for a rainy day. That control should be in the person's home. This is a change. First of all, this is 65 or 71 when you have to start withdrawals based on an outmoded view of retirement. We are living longer, healthier lives. And again, people are also working longer. And this is a change that any government can implement right away. In the end, it costs the government nothing because they will get their money eventually, either from the estate or when a person decides to draw down their investments. So let the seniors decide. And mandatory withdrawals from registered retirement investment funds. Third, frauds and scams. You're going to hear a lot about frauds and scams. So what we're promoting is going beyond education. There's a lot of education that's been around for a long time about frauds and scams. We want to go beyond education towards enforcement, making the fraudsters accountable, and trying to recover the money. You know, my colleague, our COO, Anthony Quinn, likes to bring up a great example. Just a year or two, just at the Air Canada, at the Pearson Airport, there was a famous heist, a $20 million gold heist. Did you hear that one? I see a lot of heads nodding. Well, police forces far and wide threw all their resources in there, municipal, regional, federal. They called Interpol. They got everybody on the case for $20 million to try to retrieve those funds. And that's laudable. However, Canadians lose $638 million last year to frauds and scams. And those are the ones that are reported. A lot of people don't report them because they're embarrassed or they think nothing will happen. Well, they're right on the nothing will happen part of it. So we are advocating to go beyond frauds and scams, to have the police go after fraudsters and try to recover that money. We know that more and more seniors are vulnerable to frauds and scams. Before it was the telephone, now it's the smartphone. Seniors, like everyone else, have been, after the pandemic, have been forced to go online if you want government services in a timely manner. So it makes people much more open to fraud. The introduction of artificial intelligence, where it's quite easy to mimic the voice of a loved one, like a grandchild, has made us even more vulnerable. So we want more enforcement by the police. We want the banks to be able to target suspicious transactions, large suspicious transactions, and we want the telecommunications company to try to ferret out a lot of these online scams. That's number 3. Number 4, this is an easy one, expert recommended vaccinations for all recommended age groups. So expert recommended vaccines for all expert recommended age groups free of charge. Now, I come, like I see around the room, many people from the polio vaccine generation. I remember as a child, we were lining up at school. We couldn't get that vaccine fast enough because we did not want to fall prey to the fate of polio victims. And so for me, vaccines generally been a really good thing. However, every day my email's filled with conspiracy theorists. I'm not talking about vaccine skeptics. Has the COVID vaccine been tested properly? All really good questions. I'm talking about people who think that Bill Gates is planting little microchips in your brain to follow you around. Vaccine conspiracy theory. So it's out there, and they are proliferating online. So we think that all vaccines that are recommended should be given to everyone free of charge because the vaccinated individual makes a safer community. That's how vaccinations work. Now, number 5, it's actually a top priority. It's not the last or the least. It's protecting and strengthening old age security. Again, we feel that CARP, that it has a target for deficit reduction. It might be old age security. There's pressure on the budget. Old age security, guaranteed income supplements. They are a bigger chunk of the budget all the time, and easy prey for a government. At the University of British Columbia, his distinguished colleague, UBC, Generation Squeeze, says the OAS payments are unsustainable. We can't keep, it's growing by the year, we can't keep it up. That's contrary to a report from the Parliamentary Budget Officer that states that, in fact, old age security is completely sustainable. And besides, we seniors have been paying taxes for 4, 5, 6 decades, including to pay into our old age, our seniors' entitlements. We've built our plans, retirement plans, on being able to receive old age security. You'll hear a lot in any kind of attempt to do a clawback. You'll hear the thing, it's clawback started about $90,000 a year, tops out at $150,000, but you'll hear the $150,000 figure a lot. Why should we be giving OAS to somebody that gets $150,000 a year? Well, the reality is you don't. You make $150,000 a year, you get nothing. And actually, it claws back quite quickly from $90,000 on. So, and also that number sounds great, except I think everyone's been shocked from the last few years about the cost of living. The inflationary period we've gone through, I think, has shocked everybody that have been planning long term for a comfortable environment. If the official inflation rate is lower, but all those cost increases from inflation, they're baked in to the cost of goods. And you don't need an expert to tell you that every time you go to that grocery store, the prices seem more outrageous with every day. And also, when you're a senior, you have the unexpected to deal with, unexpected medical expenses, mobility aids, home care. If you need to go to a retirement home or extended care home, those costs multiply quite quickly, as many of you know. So those are our top 5 priorities. Now, the election campaign promises so far. I know the French language debate is going on right now, so my apologies to anyone that's missing the French language debate. However, you'll see the English language debate tomorrow night. I'm proud to say it's being moderated by an old colleague from TVO and friend and fellow Maple Leafs fan, Steve Paikin. So it should be an interesting debate. We've focused in our newsletter and in our approach to this election just on the 2 federal parties, the Liberals and the Conservatives, because they're the ones likely to form government. According to the polls, the other parties are nowhere near contention, and we thought we'll focus on this. And we'll start with the Conservative Party platform. In the first week of the election campaign, it's quite disquieting because we didn't hear anything about seniors. And it was only in the second week that the Conservative Party came out with part of their platform. One was a commitment to keep the eligibility age for old age security and guaranteed income supplements at 65. That was reassuring because the previous Conservative government had proposed raising it to 67. So that's reassuring of what they're not going to do. They've also proposed increasing the amount of money that you could earn tax-free to $34,000 a year. That's an increase of $10,000 tax-free. We think that's good because there are many seniors that continue to work because they have to or want to. And so it's good. It's good for the economy. It's good for the individual. They've also proposed changing the age of eligibility for withdrawals from the RRIFs from 71 to 73. So it's a step in the right direction, but not good enough. They should go all the way and just eliminate it. So that's been positive. And just yesterday, the Conservative government announced their policy or their platform on frauds and scams. And they're talking about putting more onus on banks and on telecoms and asking the police to enforce it. With looking at scam detection, delay in high-risk transactions, things that the banks and the telecoms can do to help mitigate frauds and scams. Again, my colleague Anthony Quinn went and looked at their platform. He went and looked at our website and realized, oh my goodness, I think they've taken our advocacy priority right off of our page. What that shows is that we do have power to influence policy. Keep that in mind. Now, the Liberal Party waited till the third week of the campaign to release their position on seniors. They proposed a 25% reduction in the amount of the RRIFs that you have to withdraw, but only for 1 year. They've also proposed a 5% increase to the guaranteed income supplement. That's $1.74 a day to the lowest income seniors, but only for 1 year. So we're quite surprised that the Liberals would propose something that was so tepid for seniors, and that is a concern. Also, in the cabinet that the current Prime Minister has established, they've eliminated the seniors minister. So that no longer shows up. So those are the kind of concerns that we have, and also that it's this current government that's funded the Generation Fairness, a Generation Squeeze initiative. So that's got us concerned. But all the parties make promises, right? They're promising. So it's one thing to promise it, but are you going to do it? We always know there's a good excuse. It used to be, oh my goodness, we didn't know how bad the books were. We're not going to be able to carry out our promises. And now they have a literal and figurative trump card. Trump. Yeah, well, we didn't know it was going to be so bad. So it's really important that we hold our politicians to account. You know, CARP is a nonpartisan association. The reason that we're as large as we are is that we encompass all seniors' interests. We present, the parties present their positions. We're going to put it out there and comment on it. It's up to you to decide. But there's lots of promises. Our concern is how are you going to pay for it? Because that will tell you something. How are you going to pay it? Are it more debt or deficit, more taxes or cuts to OAS, or all of the above? We really need to hold our politicians to account. We need to ask them to be specific. What's their vision for providing a dignified life for Canada's seniors? What's the big picture? What's the big ideal for dealing with Canada's aging population? Also, so far from everyone, all the parties, we've just got bits and pieces. We'll give you a little bit here, a little bit there, but no comprehensive picture what life is going to look like for Canadians in the future. Now, on a personal issue, it seems that the question for this election is who is best to deal with Donald Trump? My personal point of view, no one. I mean, the man is idiosyncratic, erratic, and his policy seems to be whatever side of the bed he wakes up on. So I don't think anyone is really capable of dealing with Donald Trump. We've seen it with world leaders going to the White House, coming away bewildered, uncertain. I think the question should be is, what will a new government do that's in its control? What are the things that you can do? We've heard right away with talks of the trade war, we've heard about, well, we'll reduce interprovincial trade barriers. We'll extend our trading routes to Asia and Europe. Sounds fantastic, except I remember taking a civics course in high school where politicians were saying and learning about the British North America Act, our founding constitution. You know, the one problem with Canada is the interprovincial trade barriers. We should get rid of them. And I remember Trudeau Sr. talking about the third way. We should extend our trading with other partners in Asia and Europe. Absolutely, we agree. How are you going to do it? Specifically, how are you going to do something that's been as intractable as since the day we were founded as the Canadian nation? So this is what I think you need to put to the politicians, to ask them to be specific. Now, CARP's advocacy succeeded in the past through strength in numbers. We are 250,000 strong in 23 chapters across the country. People like you that are engaged in civic life, you get together because you want to improve your community and make sure that seniors have what they need to live a dignified life. We've ended mandatory retirement at 65 because of strength in numbers. We've increased payments to old age security and guaranteed income supplements because of our numbers. We have introduced income splitting for couples, and we've helped push for the beginnings of a national dental care program, thanks to our strength in numbers. So my advice to all of us in these turbulent times is to do what we often do: stay well informed, keep calm, and carry on, because this too shall pass, right? Now, politicians are coming for your vote. Why? Because we're old, we're grumpy, and we vote. And as we know, in our latest poll, ongoing poll of intent to vote, did you vote in the last election? Do you intend to vote in this election? I can't remember if the results are 98 or 99%. So that's because we're a powerful lobby when we use our votes, our voices to vote for change. And when we work together collectively in a civil society organization, association like ours, the Canadian Association of Retired Persons. Thank you very much.
I'll ask if there's any questions from the floor, and if Richard would be available for the mic. If everyone has any questions of Rudy, now's the time to ask them.
Well, everyone can hear that? Okay. Actually, we do have some that have been submitted by members already, Rudy. If I can, we've got 4 for you. During this election campaign, the significant topics have been tariffs, the president of the USA, and the economy. The results of the post-pandemic have demonstrated the real important issue is the crisis in our healthcare system across Canada. The federal leaders continue to say that our Medicare program is dependent on a strong economy and the policies of healthcare implementation is a provincial responsibility. Should CARP advocate for a change in the Canada Health Act as a means to deal with this healthcare crisis?
Well, I guess there's a should is, I think, the operative word, right? I always, when I hear the word should, it's like, yeah, I should drink less and do more exercise. I'm not sure with the Canada Healthcare Act, which infringes on the Constitution, right? The constitutional authority. It's the education and healthcare is the province, is the child of the province under the British North America Act. Anytime you deal with constitutional change, it's a Pandora's box. So I'm not sure about the Canada Healthcare Act, but I do know that the federal government and the provincial government should be working together on a comprehensive strategy to deal with the aging population, and healthcare is obviously a huge component of it. We're in a state where every time there's more transfers to the province, all the provinces, want to do their own thing. Even though we as Canadians are generally very mobile, we move around, we live in different provinces. So I think that we need more action from at First Ministers meetings for the Premier, the federal, the Prime Minister and the premiers and leaders of territories to get together and deal with a strategy that's not necessarily infringes on constitutional change. Thank you.
Okay, number two, with the rising prices of basic groceries and healthcare products, seniors are struggling to provide these basic needs. Should there be a tax category status of reduced income tax percentage for seniors whose taxable income is under, say, $90,000?
Well, definitely making the minimum taxable amount larger, I think, is a step in the right direction. Again, to quote my colleague Anthony, as he said, we're in the advocacy business. We're not in the solutions business. Yeah. We're a small association with a small staff. The federal government's people tax policy and the like is determined by thousands and thousands of bureaucrats because it's very complicated. But the idea that earning more or raising the threshold for taxable income makes a lot of sense because that will affect lowest income people first.
This one you partly addressed, I think, already, but to address fraud and scams, should regulations be established for financial institutions, businesses, and agencies like CRA to manage transactions or inquiries involving seniors? Putting the responsibility of the police and justice system to deal with fraudsters is only half the solution.
Yeah, I think banks could and trusts could be doing a lot more to monitor the accounts of seniors, especially large amounts that have, are kind of suspicious. Whenever you hear of some of these transactions that happen, just not being a layperson, not being in the banking sector, you can tell it sounds really weird. And that I know that one of the criticism is that it adds one more layer of bureaucracy, but for goodness sakes, I'd rather be bothered by an extra hour of paper filling than dealing with a lifetime savings gone out the window. So yes, I think financial institutions should be more involved in looking and monitoring and checking the high risk transactions. Seniors, thank you.
Okay, last question. In the 1980s and 1990s, many parents were in search of nannies to help with childcare in our homes, as many mothers wanted or needed to return to the workforce. Many parents turned to immigration of foreign nannies to solve this need. Today, these same parents are in search of professional care workers to help them care for their aging parents in their homes. Once again, they're turning to immigration to seek foreign trained or untrained PSWs to help them. Somehow there's a disconnect about who should be responsible in regulating the foreign PSWs. Should it be the immigration department or the provincial health department or the private party requiring the care for their parents?
Sounds like one of those all of the above kind of, right? Well, first of all, I'm an immigrant myself. So, where my sentiments come from. I think immigration has really helped build and improve this country. We're all immigrants at some point in time, you know. So immigration is important. I think what we've gone through is a period of uncontrolled immigration. Immigration was the great social contract in Canada. People were really proud about our immigration levels. I think people were really shocked by the government letting it get out of hand. And so therefore, we invite people here where we have no ability to accommodate them in affordable housing, no ability to provide primary care services to them. So we haven't held up our bargain. I think we have to go back to a managed immigration system. I think we need a massive investment in the training of personal service workers. I think that that's the great job opportunity. That's the, you know, that at the end of the day, the quality of the healthcare you get if you're at home or in a retirement home and looking for care is that individual that comes to visit you and deals with you as a human being, not as another, you know, time unit that must be checked off. And so the training of incentivizing of more people to pursue personal service workers is really, really critical. I believe that that's really the future, and because that's what people want. They want people. And in terms of families, you know, families, most people that have the means already deal with their families. It's like, for most people, you know, we have the means and the ability, we look after our own, you know, right? So we're fine. It's the people that are in the middle or on the edge or at the lower rungs we have to make sure are taken care of, people that don't have families to fall back on. So I'd say all of the above.
Right? Okay, thank you. And Anthony's got another mic if there's any audience questions.
I'll just come down.
Okay. Okay. IATA.
Sorry.
That's your question. Hi, my question is low and middle income seniors. Should the landlords be raising the rent so high? Should they also be going over the above 3% and adding it to the rent that is not yet okay by the Landlord and Tenant Act? They raise it an extra 3% and they take it out of our income and it's not approved and we don't have an answer. And they said they prefer to owe us the money than for we to owe them. But it's not yet approved and it's going to nearly a year. Is that okay?
No, it's not okay. And that isn't an isolated, there aren't isolated cases. It's a problem that affects a lot of people that are renting, in the sense that our landlord-tenant tribunals are not very effective in dealing with things right away. There's huge backlogs, and people that are in those circumstances should be able to address them quickly so that they're not thrown out of their place or have to deal with cost increases that are not yet approved.
But the government does give them a lot of benefits for seniors. They do get a lot of all of these things, and yet they are raising the rents so high. These are retirement homes. So what are they expecting for us to do between 24,000 and 26,000 with all the expenses? How can they be allowed to raise the rent any way they want to raise it?
Well, I think they shouldn't be. So I agree. I think that tenants need more protection, but also that's where looking at what should seniors that are in the lowest income bracket be getting as part of their guaranteed income supplement.
Yes.
It should be increased more than $1.74 a day.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. And are you going to say something? I've got my colleague, Anthony Quinn. Come on up here, Anthony.
I did want to say something, Rudy, as you were talking about the PSWs. I just came from a meeting with Frank and Sandra from Trials College, and they're in the back of the room, and they're actually in the business of training PSWs in Canada and have been doing that for a number of years. And we had a tour of their facility, which is just a kitty corner to this building, and they're looking forward to working with CARP chapters in the Peel region for engaging with our members. So I wanted to thank Frank and Sandra for coming out today and listening to Rudy's speech. So that was part of that. But on the tenant rights, there's a difference between being a tenant in a regular rental apartment that has protections based on the year it was built and protections as a resident in a retirement home.
Not a retirement home, it's a senior's home.
So a senior's home, then there's no distinction between a senior's home and a regular tenancy. So it's up to yourself to get some legal representation and fight. That's the job to do.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Anthony. That's why Anthony and I work together as a team. There's a lot of issues to deal with at any one given time.
Thank you. I wanted to just add to the scams and fraud. It's there's a practice of large businesses, large service organizations sending promotional offers by email or text, and I'm noticing that you automatically wind up getting opted in when you click or open the message, and it's such a huge burden to opt out because the result has been that you've been opted in without your consent or without your knowledge. And I think that aspect needs to be broadened a little to regulate also what is permissible by regular legitimate businesses.
It's a good point in terms of being able to opt out of any kind of email. And that's a case where it is regulated. You should make your complaint with the CRTC, the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission. They log those complaints and they make sure that they try to enforce them and under the threat of great fine. So you should report, if you have trouble opting out, you should report it to the CRTC.
I'm just wondering if there's any advocacy for CARP to go to the younger people, and you're talking about dispelling the rift withdrawal. If I'd known 40 years ago that hey, put it in a RIF, you save thousands a year on your tax then, but it'll be better when you're older and the tax rate is real low. Well, the tax rate isn't low now. I feel personally I would have been better off not to take the RIF, pay the tax at the time. But yet I don't see younger people understanding these things of what the future will be for them. That's where we are now, because if I take out my RIF or any of my RIF to buy a necessity that I saved for, I end up in a different tax bracket and lose benefits on other things because I took out the money the governments had told me to save.
Yeah. What can I tell you? If I knew then what I know now, I would have bought more Apple stock. Listen, I think when it comes to those matters, in terms of retirement planning, that I think that that's important where everyone goes and gets professional financial advice. Tax law is very complicated. It gets more complicated every year. But looking at taking on the professional services of a financial planner, respected, reputable financial planner is really important to try to make those decisions. And sometimes it's a bit of a, no one can predict the future, but at least financial planners have a lot more tools and knowledge at their disposal. So our recommendation is, especially with young people, is it's never too late or it's never too early to start your retirement planning. And in fact, it's really recommended on the first day of your first full-time paying job, start planning for retirement. Of course, when you're young, you don't think it'll ever come. You reach my age and I think, oh my goodness, I thought it'd take longer. So I think that it's important for young people to seek professional advice about what they should do in their particular circumstances, because every circumstance is different.
Your last question.
Last question.
Okay, my name is Abdul. I live in you, but I have no help. I'm 88.
You're 88?
Yeah, so what
That's pretty good.
Like I was saying,
She said she's 88 and she gets no help. She lives in this building.
Oh.
She lives in this building, she's 88, she has no help.
Well, that's surprising. I mean, you get no help.
Well, help with the retirement community, but I'm assuming, Sam, do you mean like an extra help? Like a PSW or additional help?
yeah, she helped me major.
Okay.
but I need to know that.
So,
Like, that water, the Keynote will.
Okay, we'll
We'll
get in touch.
we'll talk after.
We'll see what we can do.
We
All right,
will-
we'll talk, stay behind and we'll help you because,
Okay.
again, it's why we're advocating for a dignified life, that everyone does need that help, and the amount of help depends on our own circumstances, and you should definitely not go without help. All right, that was the last question. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. My name's Tracy Pepe. We're going to do a small presentation of the excitement that's coming for CARP. And then we're going to have a meet and greet. My colleague Pam will be introducing the candidates that have arrived. And we really encourage you to go speak to them. We'll point them out. You will know if they're in your riding, so you're not. There's one thing that the Elections Canada has not done a very good job in Brampton, and I'm going to complain. There are 6 ridings. The riding boundaries have changed. So please ask your candidate if your postal code is in their riding, because it has shifted, okay? And we're one of the few ridings in the country that got an additional ward, okay? So that's just my thing. But anyway, here we go. First and foremost, welcome all the new CARP members that are here today. I'm so pleased to be here with you. I personally love this organization for many reasons. It's for retired individuals, and I aspire to retirement. I don't know when that will happen, but I am working hard with you all. And there's a few things that I want to acknowledge. For $15 a year, you can have a CARP membership with us. There's a form. For an extra $5, you get a Zoomer magazine. I would not be the ex-chair if I did not promote membership with our organization. We meet here on a regular basis. We have fantastic conversations, like-minded individuals, and I am super proud of my team to have done the only political debate, or not debate, but get together in Brampton for the residents. And I'm proud because we know you all will vote and all of our demographics will vote. So thank you for coming. That is so important to us. I very much appreciate it. We are super, super pleased. We have a fabulous counselor, Councillor Pat Fortini. He is with us this evening. He is providing funding for us to provide bus services for a summit that is occurring in Caledon that we have participated with in the past. There's a flyer, please get that. If you're interested in the bus service, there's no charge. And we'll be taking people from Brampton. It's in June. It's a fabulous summit to learn about all the wonderful services that are provided in the region of Peel, Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. And we are wonderful sponsors. And I really want to say thank you to Mr. Pat Fortini for stepping up and supporting the seniors in Brampton. He does a fantastic job for our community. Now, my social news signups. We've got some save the dates. We are a strong advocacy group. But Brampton chapter is expanding. We're one of the larger ones, and we work with Caledon. We have many Caledon members. And so we're going to be doing some new things this summer. And I'm supposed to, look what happened. Okay. Oh, no, I got that one. Can you move the slide for me, Dee? Oh, there we go. There's a tea party at PAMA. So on May 10th, Tea by Daniel is a fantastic local vendor who is downtown. He was at the Bramalea City Center. We're partners with PAMA. If you don't know what to do for the wonderful woman in your life, there's a tea party at PAMA. I would highly recommend that you go. It's from 1:30 to 3:30. He is doing a tea tasting. It sounds so much fun, and it's at our wonderful building in PAMA. There is a form over on the table with more information. Next one. Because we have a partnership with PAMA, For the first 20 members are allowed to go on an art tour that I've put forward as a social gathering for all of our members. That is May 13th from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. You will meet me at PAMA, and we will be looking at the art. And I don't know if many of you have been in that building, but it's a beautiful building, and it's an opportunity, a day out, and a social event. There's a sign-up sheet. Wine and cheese that we love to hear. This is our first wine and cheese social event. And I am really proud to say we have a speaker from the Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario who will be coming in to be talking about fraud, to get us all educated on what not to do and not to answer the phone, and how do you know all the scams that are currently available. And Ashley Oak's retirement on June 17th from 1 and 3 will be hosting us, and there'll be a lovely entertainment fair, again, a social evening. The bus. If you're interested, there's a sign-up sheet, there's a brochure. This is for June 24th. Next one. Farmers Market, my favorite thing in Brampton. And we are going to have a booth in July. We're going to have a booth in August. If you would like to volunteer for an hour, if you would like to hang out with us at the Farmers Market, there's a sign-up sheet. Sometimes dedicating, like all of our board members, it's a lot of time, but maybe you want to give a little bit of your time. If you want to give a little bit of time, please consider it. We have some wonderful opportunities. The farmers market, as you know, starts in June. It goes until Labor Day weekend. It's one of Brampton's iconic events. And if you could just social, all we're asking is to talk about CARP, help hand out promotional material, and just be a part of the community. Clipboard, sign up, please, if you're interested. We will be posting this in our newsletter. You get a phone call once a month from one of our directors telling you about the event. You will get a newsletter once a month that Dieter puts together, and sponsorships. You'll see all the wonderful information. And then we meet here regularly once a month. For those of you who are new, we do not meet in July and August. That is why I've put together a new summer's program for CARP. Thank you so very much. Pam is going to come up now and introduce the candidates. This is an opportunity for a meet and greet. There is media here, so if you see a photograph or you don't want to be photographed, just please let the photographer know. And thank you again. I really, really appreciate your attendance tonight.
Thank you, Tracy. My name is Pam Munjal, and I am on the board of directors for CARP. On behalf of CARP Brampton, I'd like to thank our president of CARP, Rudy, for taking the time to come out and talk with us tonight. It was really interesting, and we've learned a lot. I'd also like to thank our guests, Anthony Quinn and Janine. And lastly, I want to thank Councillor Pat Fortini for joining us and our candidates. So I'm going to introduce the candidates, and if you'd like to come forward when I say your name, then we can recognize you. Amandeep Sori, Hafiz Munid Ahmad, Jayesh Brambat, Avi Daliwal, Ruby Sahota, and Sonia Sidhu. Forgive me if I got it wrong, your name. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll now have a meet and greet, and you can meet your candidates. Thank you, everyone. Oh, there is? Okay. It's not. Which one? Oh, okay.
This is Chef Cut. Chef Cut.
Yes. For candidates, Pam. Mike Dancy as well.
Oh, okay.
Mike,
Please introduce yourself.
I'm just going by what they circled. Sorry, guys. So we also have Chef Kat Ali and Mike Dancy.
There's too many chefs in the kitchen right now. Yeah. So Introduce your name and your lighting and your association. Sure. Go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Rudy and CARP team members for inviting us at this evening. Myself, Jayesh Brambhat, representing from People's Party of Canada, Brampton, Chinguacousy Park riding. That's the 6th new riding here in Brampton. I landed in Canada in 2001, so 25 years.
Good evening. My name is Shafkat Ali, and I serve as a member of parliament since 2021 at Brampton Center. This is part of the riding. Now I'm a candidate for the Liberal Party from Brampton, Chinguacousy Park. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Tracy and Rudy. It was great to listen to you. So many points. I just wanted to add one thing.
Office, I'm contesting as a federal MP from Brampton, Chinguacousy Park area from the Centrist Party of Canada. I'm consulting engineer. I have been done a lot of work as a geotechnical consultant for high-rise building.
Mike, Chinguacousy for the Green Party. And like Rudy said, I am old, grumpy, and pissed off. And that's why I'm running. I'm only running to get my kids jobs. But now that I've been here, I can see there's
I'm Sani Sidhu, federal Liberal candidate from Brampton South. I was elected first time 2015, and because we are 4 candidate Liberals are here because. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rudy Sahota. I am the member of Parliament for Brampton North. I've been in this position since 2015. I am now the candidate for Brampton North Caledon.
Hi, everyone. Today, my name is Amandeep Sodhi. I'm your Liberal candidate for Brampton Centre. I'm a proud Bramptonian, born and raised, and I'm running because I have a passion to give back to the community that raised me.
I'd also, at this point, like to call on our treasurer to draw the winning door prize. For that.
Can you finish out?
Please take your tickets, and then we'll reach candidates. All right, here we go. Get your blue tickets, everyone.
Well, this can't be right. That's my number. Okay. First 3 numbers. 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
The last 4 numbers. 4, 6, 6, 1. Oh. Couldn't work out better. Okay, before I end the meeting, I'd just like to remind everybody that we have an election coming up. Voting is on April the 28th. Advance votes are available starting tomorrow. And as Rudy has mentioned in the past, we are a strong voice in Canada. We should make our voices heard. Please vote.
Yeah.